Lord bless the reading of his word. Shabbat shalom. Did y'all have a good Thanksgiving? Amen. We had a great Thanksgiving. It was truly a blessing. We had 80% of our children with us. The other 20%, representing one, was in Afghanistan. And we were praying for him. We still are praying for him. And if you wouldn't mind joining us, that would be great too. But it was really nice. This morning's portion is Parsha Vayeitzei. Vayeitzei means, and he went forth. Of course, this is speaking of Jacob. To get us up to speed, at the end of last week's portion, Esau was not very happy with Jacob. In fact, he was murderously unhappy. Their mother overheard Esau thinking, if that's possible any place other than the Bible, and she took Jacob to Isaac and had Isaac send him away, in essence, sparing his life. She said, hey, look, Jacob, it's about time for Jacob to go find a wife. But there's nobody around here for him, so we need to send him someplace. And Isaac said, oh, yeah, right, we need to send him away. So they send him off to Laban. And we see this morning, at the beginning of this portion, Jacob's on his way out, heading towards Laban's house. On the way, he stops for the night, and he has this vision, this dream. And this is probably one of the most famous dreams in the Bible, probably second only to the dreams of Pharaoh, which we read about later on in Genesis. Jacob has this dream about a ladder, and he sees this ladder, and it's not an itty-bitty ladder. It's not even one of those strongman ladders that you can bend and fold and put any which way. This is a ladder that goes straight to heaven, all the way to the top. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. All the way to the top. And on this ladder, climbing up and climbing down, are angels. So this is not just a tall ladder. This is obviously a pretty wide ladder too. At the very, very top of the ladder, he sees God standing over the ladder. Now, initially I sort of thought this is God like standing on the top rung. But the Bible states that he was standing not on the ladder, not at the top of the ladder. He was standing over the ladder. So God is looking down on all of these things happening, and an incredible thing happens. The Lord identifies himself to Jacob as the God of his fathers. I am the God of your fathers, Abraham, and I am the God of Isaac. And then he reiterates the promise that he had made to Abraham and to Isaac, to Jacob. When he woke up, he recognized something special had happened, and the first thing he does was he took a rock. This was the rock that he was using as a pillow for his head. Not comfortable. He took it and he anointed it with oil, and he made an altar there. And he changed the name of that place. Now, the place used to be called Luz. Luz can either mean crooked or almond tree. And in this case, I think it probably meant almond tree. And so he changed the name of the place from Luz to Bethel. Bethel means house of God. Okay, so every place where you actually see, like Bethel Baptist Church, it's really Bethel. Tell them that. See what happens. Let me know. Okay, so he changes the name to Bethel, and Jacob promises that for his part of the arrangement, for his part of the agreement, he would take the Lord to be his God, and he would give to him a tenth of everything that is given to him. That's Jacob's promise. So he finally reaches his destination, and then we read one of the most well-known stories in the Bible. Jacob and Laban. Jacob falls in love, almost at first sight, with Laban's young daughter, Rachel. He had two daughters, Rachel and Leah. Rachel was the younger of the two. And that's the one he fell in love with. And he says to Laban, I want to marry your daughter Rachel. Laban says, sure, no problem. You need to work for me for 7 years, and I'll give you Rachel at the end of the 7 years. Done deal. 7 years, not a problem for this woman. I'm done. That's fine. At the end of 7 years, he gets married and finds out that it wasn't Rachel that was given to him, but Leah. So in love with Rachel was Jacob, he said, all right, look, I promised you 7 years I'll give you another 7 years for Rachel, because that's the woman that I want to be married to. Laban says, okay, great, no problem. At the end of the next 7 years, so 14 years now, he marries the woman of his dreams, Rachel, and they start to become prosperous. And this is the story about the prosperous, the spotted of the flock, and how all that worked out to make Jacob and his household incredibly, incredibly wealthy. And so the rest of this portion really starts to emphasize and illustrate the message from last week. Do you remember the message from last week? How to do competition. Now, I do not condone marrying more than one person. However, if I did, I would definitely tell you not to marry siblings. Okay? Because what happens right here is this incredible competition starts. Okay? And this, in fact, Dan and I were just joking around about it back there, about this competition. Competition started between siblings. When you look at it, all the way back to Cain and Abel. That's where that first competition thing started. This goes back to the message from last week. Okay? Remember, Abel brought this offering, and it was accepted by God, and Cain brought an offering, and it wasn't, and they had this competition. Eventually, Cain kills Abel. So the competition between Rachel and Leah starts right away. Look, both of them knew right from the start that Rachel was the one that Jacob really wanted. Okay? That was not a surprise. Nor was it a surprise to God. Okay? He knew it too. But having compassion on Leah, God opens her womb. She begins to have children. Now, we're not going to get into all the details right now, but suffice it to say, she has 4 boys, ends with Judah. Rachel gets jealous, but she's barren. She can't compete that way. So she says, here, take my maidservant. So she gives Bilhah to Jacob, who sleeps with her. They end up having 2 kids. Not to be outdone. Okay, you can almost feel that competitive thing going on here. Okay, oh, really? You think you got that? Oh, I got a maidservant too. So Leah offers her maidservant Zilpah to Jacob and says, okay, fine, you're going to sleep with her maidservant, you're going to sleep with my maidservant too. Here. And so he sleeps with her maidservant. They have 2 kids. What are we up to now? We're up to 8. For those who are counting, we're up to 8. Okay? So now the girls start bartering for affection. Okay? Reuben, Leah's firstborn, goes out into the garden and finds some mandrakes. Rachel says, hey, I would love to have some of those mandrakes. And Leah said, what are you going to give me for? Basically, paraphrasing. You won't find that in the Bible. What are you going to give me for? And Rachel says, you know what? I've had those husbandly affections for a while. I'll tell you what. You let Reuben give me some of those mandrakes. You can have Jacob tonight. Done. Just like that. So Leah then goes in and sleeps with her husband. Guess what? 2 more kids. We're up to 10. Only then. Okay, let's look at the score real quick. Okay, we're at 10. Okay, let's look at the score. Okay, Leah 6, Rachel 0. Bilhah 2, Zilpah 2. Only now does God look at Rachel and decide, okay, it's time. And he opens her womb, and she gives birth to Joseph. Now, with 11 sons and 1 daughter, the daughter we read about in this process also, the family of Jacob is getting pretty big. The Lord prospers them, and now the rest of this portion is about how much God prospers Jacob and his household. How jealous Laban gets about it. Jacob flees because Laban is getting jealous about it. He gets out of Dodge. Laban chases them, catches up with them, makes a covenant with them. And Jacob, at the command of the Lord, begins the journey back home to face Esau. That's the summary of this morning's portion. In all of this,